Woo! What's going on, guys? Orms Forum coming at you, and this isn't really breaking news. You guys all know about this, but former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator um, Ben Johnson is going to be hired by the Chicago Bears. It's already been done. I think they finished up the paperwork yesterday or tonight. I'm doing this video after midnight, so I wasn't sure that I was going to do a video on this. We all kind of knew that Ben Johnson was going to leave. There was rumors of the Chicago Bears, and me personally, I didn't think he was going to go to Chicago. Not because of the reasons I just didn't think it was a good fit. Just in my opinion, and honestly, there was a part of me that inside that was like, okay, he's going to stay a little bit loyal and he's going to try to go elsewhere. But money talks, and bullshit walks. It's just one of those things. But at first I was like, it's not a good fit. But if you actually look at the whole scenario, it's a kind of a smart move by him, and I'll kind of explain that. But he did. He did sign for about, I think his first year he'll be making about 13 to 20 million or something like that. I was kind of confused on the numbers. I think the total price was like $75 million. I haven't seen the length of the contract. I just kind of seen some numbers. Said 13 million, and it said on average 20 million. Um, so 20.7 million to be exact. That makes him the seventh highest paid head coach in the NFL today. That's more money than John Harbaugh, who coaches the Ravens, who I believe has a Super Bowl. I think he does. I think John Harbaugh has a Super Bowl, and he makes $19.1 million. So, this is, you know, Lions Nation gets kind of thrown into a loop here. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I see a lot of Lions fans that are very PO'd about this, very pissed off, um, because he took the Chicago Bears gig. Um, there he interviewed for teams like, I didn't do a lot of writing, but I did a little bit of writing. He did interview for teams like the Las Vegas Raiders, who were kind of front runners. I believe a few days ago, Jacksonville Jaguars, the New England Patriots. They ended up giving Mike Vrabel that job, and then the Chicago Bears, obviously. And it it's a little bit. I don't want to say the word confusing, but this this hire just kind of threw me for a loop. Like, I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad at Ben Johnson for this. I'm not even laughing at the Chicago Bears for this. He's got a young quarterback over there. Caleb Williams. They offered him the bag. I didn't think it was going to be the Bears, but hey, they offered him big time money, and that's where he wanted to go. He said this is the place that he wanted to go all along. He's got a young quarterback. He's got a couple wide receivers. You got to work on that O line, no, obviously. A decent tight end and Cole Kmet. I think he's still going to be around. I don't know what his contract situation is. Um, I don't see them possibly bringing back DeAndre Swift. It's not that he didn't like DeAndre Swift when he was in Detroit, but he was out of there pretty fast. DeAndre Swift, and I don't know if that had anything to do with Ben Johnson, but he was gone. So not sure if he wants him as a running back. He's a little bit banged up. He's been kind of relatively healthy the past year and a half, whatever. I'm not really keeping up with DeAndre Swift, but he's got some pieces. He's got some pieces. He's got the bag, and he's got a lot of work to do. And he knows he's got a lot of work to do. So he's the seventh highest paid guy. So that's guys like Andy Reid, Chiefs, Sean Payton for the Broncos, Mike Tomlin, Steelers, John Harbaugh with the Chargers, Sean McVay, Rams, Kyle Shanahan, 49ers. All these guys right here is kind of are up there. One through, I think it's 1 through 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six guys that are getting paid more than him right now, and there's one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 5 or 6 five, six, or seven Super Bowl rings between these six guys. Andy Reid, has multiple, and Peyton's got one, Tomlin's got one, McVay. So and he's already up there at seventh highest paid coach in the NFL. And he's 38 years old. He's been around the block. He's been in the NFL for quite a bit now. He started off his whole thing in Boston College, moving up the ranks into the NFL, going to Miami. Met Dan Campbell there, I believe, or he knew him, something like that. Don't really know, but they ended up working together, I think, there, or just knew each other. And then, we all know about what happened with Campbell, became the interim coach out in Miami, then eventually then went to New Orleans, and then eventually became our head coach back in 2021. And then Ben Johnson eventually, kind of moving up in the ranks in the position wise, like the quality control passing game, passing attack coordinator, just stuff like that. Got hired by Matt Patricia in Detroit. I believe he was a quality control passing offensive guy. Moved up the ranks a little bit, became a tight ends coach, became a passing coordinator for Detroit, and then Campbell comes over to Detroit, and he obviously knows Ben Johnson from the Miami days, and he ends up keeping him on the staff because Ben Johnson was here before Dan Campbell. So Dan Campbell ended up keeping, I think two guys. Hank Fraley, the O-line coach, I believe was here first before Dan Campbell, and he ended up keeping Ben Johnson as well. So there you go. You know what I mean? And then that became that. We hired, I believe 2021, Anthony Lynn as our offensive coordinator. It was kind of a disaster from the start. They ended up firing Anthony Lynn sometime like in between, was it the first year they ended up firing him? They ended up firing, I believe it was the first year. Halfway through the season, Dan Campbell ended up calling plays. I still believe it was Ben Johnson in his ear for a majority of that. I'm not saying Dan Campbell's incapable, but he was never known to call plays. Like, I know he knows football on all that stuff, but I always had the feeling, and it's just a feeling, I had no proof or nothing like that, but I always felt like Ben Johnson was more part of calling plays at the end of that 2000 season, where we went, I think it was 7-8 games, maybe a little bit more, where we lit it up. Goff was playing excellent. Amon-Ra St. Brown was awesome down the stretch. Then 2022 rolls around. They mentioned, they named Ben Johnson as the new OC of the Detroit Lions, and the rest is history. Better every single year from 2022 to 2024. Phenomenal rushing attack, great aerial attack every single year he was here, ranking up there in the top 5, top 3, and eventually being like the number 1 offense in the NFL this year, 2024, that season with the most points scored. I believe it was 33 plus points a game they averaged. Throwing the ball all over the field, running the ball all over the field with a plethora of talent, with all kinds of running backs, all kinds of wide receivers, great tight ends, great O-line, a capable quarterback who can get it done, who plays most of the time at a top 5 to 10 level. He's had his moments, obviously, but Jared Goff has he reemerged his career in Detroit, where he was kind of thrown away in LA. Jared Goff's always been a good quarterback. Now he needs some help. That's obvious. I think that's every quarterback in the NFL. But he has become the guy in Detroit, and he's gonna stay the guy for the next couple of years, unless this ship completely sinks, which I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will. I know Dan Campbell. They have set themselves up for the last couple of years for this move, for Ben Johnson to leave. Obviously, he was taking interviews last year too with the Washington Commanders. He didn't like the way that they ran that ship over there. They thought it was too basketball or basketball related. It was basketball guys. I know Magic Johnson and some of his boys are kind of running the show over there a little bit. You never know who Magic Johnson is. He's an NBA Hall of Famer. Played for the Lakers for the longest time. I don't know if he even played for anybody else but the Lakers. But this isn't about that. But he didn't like what he saw, and boom, I think he canceled an interview. I think a second interview he canceled with Washington. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that was last year. I think they were ready to fly in here, or he was ready to go there, and he was like, I ain't going, or don't come here. Like one of the two. And he kind of told the Washington Commanders that he does not want to be any part of them. And lo and behold, it's kind of weird we get beat by the Commanders in the playoff game. That's got nothing to do with it, but you guys know what I mean. So, and then he had some. I think he had one or two interviews with the Carolina Panthers, I believe, last year. I think he's from North Carolina. I'm pretty sure he is. I didn't really look into that, but I'm pretty sure he did. He might even went to school there. I don't know. I think he was a quarterback. I don't know how much he played, but I believe he was a quarterback in college, like a walk-on or something like that. But he is a guy that completely turned around, or helped turn around this football team called the Detroit Lions, and I got nothing but love for the guy. Do I want to see him? Do I want to see him succeed now? Absolutely not. Because he's a Chicago Bear. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm rooting for Ben Johnson, because I'm not. If he would have went anywhere else, sure. But I got no sour grapes on it. I just don't. It's just like I'm not going to vote. It's just like I'm not going to root for Matt LaFleur and Kevin O'Connell. Like why would I do that? We don't know what type of head coach this guy's going to be. Is he a great offensive coordinator? 100%. If anything, even if he fails, I think he's going to help Caleb Williams. I think he's going to help that offense in general. Now, I know when all this stuff was going on about Ben Johnson, about possibly leaving, a lot of stuff came out that he really wanted a lot of control of what goes on with the roster, with cuts, with trades, with this, with that. He's always said that he completely admires what Dan Campbell and what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have, which is a relationship where they don't do much without talking to each other. They don't really do anything. They don't make moves. Brad Holmes will go to Dan Campbell, and I've heard these guys talking about this I've heard them talk about this on the internet in interviews, where Brad Holmes will be like, if Dan doesn't like what I like, and he's very adamant about not adding that player or making some type of move, we won't do it, and vice versa. If he comes to me, if Dan comes to him and says the same thing, goes, listen, I want this guy, man, we should go for him. Brad looks into it, comes back to him and says, I don't think we should do it, this and that. They won't do it. So they always have, they got to be in sync. And that's what Ben Johnson wants with Ryan Poles. I think that's his name over there. He's the GM. I don't know what was said over there, but, like I said, man, they dropped a lot of money in his lap to be the guy. And he was the most highly coveted guy out there, Ben Johnson. We can talk about former head coaches. We can talk about college coaches, that are doing really well, that are going to become possible head coaches in the NFL. Ben Johnson was number one on a lot of people's lists, and the Bears made the move, got their guy. And like I said earlier, man, I think it's a smart move. He got paid, obviously, but he gets to stay in the North. He knows the Vikings. He knows the Bears. Obviously, he knows the Packers. You know who he knows the most? The Lions. He knows our weaknesses, our strengths. He knows what we do. He knows the blueprint on how we became successful. Now, are they going to be able to duplicate that over there? I don't know. But it's not a bad move for the organization. It's really not like, and a lot of people will tell you, oh, hey man, he's not going to become a good head coach. He's this, he's that. He's just not head coach material. Like, how do you know? Like, I don't understand how you come about that. He's a very smart man. He's articulate when he talks like a head coach. He looks like a head coach. I think he looks like one. He just got that aura about him. Now, I like I said, I don't want him to succeed because he's a Chicago Bear head coach. But there's a lot of people who there's a lot of Lions fans happy that he's gone, even conjuring up conspiracy theories about that Commanders and Lions game, about the Commanders and Detroit Lions game, obviously on Saturday night, saying Ben Johnson wasn't into the game. He was already Chicago bound. He was throwing the game. He just wanted to get out of there. The juju was off. The energy wasn't right. Complaining about his calls, about Ben Johnson's play calls. Didn't like the fact that JMO was gonna throw on a trick play, and like I told you in that other video that I made yesterday, that trick play. Okay, if you want to complain about it, I have no issue with it. Complain about it, but one thing on that play, JMO doesn't have to throw the football. He doesn't have to. Football 101, I guarantee you the first thing he was taught or told, don't force that throw, JMO. You don't have to throw it. If you don't like what you see, if nothing's open, tuck and run or throw it out of bounds, go to the ground, do whatever. Become a runner. That's what he probably should have done. Well, that's what he should have done, actually. Run the football. You don't have to throw. So if you're going to be mad at Ben Johnson for making that call and you're like, oh, it should have been St. Brown. He's thrown the ball before. Guys that are creative, man, they're going to do different things. And Ben Johnson is very, very creative. He was trying to obviously throw off the Commanders. Didn't work. And JMO did make a bad decision. He just made a bad decision and threw the ball. Yes, it was at a crucial time, fourth quarter, down only by 10. We were, it's just a bad decision by JMO. And, if you want to get mad at both guys, that's fine. But in the end, JMO shouldn't be throwing that ball. It just, did he get a little bit too cute on some trick plays? Possibility. I think he did about 3 or 4 of them. 2 or 3 worked though. I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 of them worked. The JMO one obviously didn't work. But I think we scored a long touchdown on one of them. Got some first downs. I believe the one of the Gibbs touchdown too was kind of an awkward looking handoff as well too. That kind of looked a little bit trickish. But it's football 101, man. It's just you just got to be smart about it. And then him having an empty backfield, apparently empty set on 3rd and 1. Him and Goff dropping back, losing the football, getting strip sacked. A 3rd and 1, like people complaining about that. Now, it's easy to complain about something when it doesn't go right. It just is. It's very easy. Like, look at that play. He got strip sacked. You didn't see that much this year from Jared Goff. You didn't see him play the way he did on that game too. So we were still on offense that had over 500 yards of offense and scored 31 points. Except our quarterback, Jared Goff, decided to turn the ball over 4 times. And those 4 turnovers were brutal. I'm not going to get mad at him for the strip sack. That's going to happen. Dorrance Armstrong from the Commanders made a nice play. I'm not going to get mad at that. But those interceptions were god-awful. I thought all 3 of them were terrible. Guys were open, and he just literally misfired. And he just had a bad game. I don't want him, like I said earlier, this is not a Jared Goff bashing fest. I still want him as my quarterback. But my God, he really shit the bed that game. He really, really did. So, but back to the 3rd and 1. If let's just say the 3rd and 1, he doesn't get strip sacked. He doesn't get sacked at all. They throw it away. You don't think that the Lions are going for it on 4th and 1? They were in Commanders territory. I think we were in the red zone. I believe as well. I'm pretty sure we were in the red zone or close to, anyways. So a 3rd and 1 is basically 2nd down in Detroit. It's basically 2nd down in all of the NFL now. If you're really if you're going to be honest about it. So I'm not even mad at that play call. There's a couple play calls that you're going to scratch your head on, sure, but he didn't throw the game because he was looking to get out of there. Um, did he maybe know that he was going to be the Chicago coach going into that Saturday game? That's a possibility. That is a possibility. I'm not gonna completely throw that in the garbage and say that's not true. There is a strong possibility that he knew he was going to Chicago, because hey man, he made that announcement Monday. It came pretty quick, and the NFL Network was covering it, and they were kind of shocked because there was no second interview planned. It just kind of happened. So he was either talking to guys right after that football game, or he knew Sunday something was going on. But hey man, but it is what it is. And then people complaining that he didn't run Gibbs enough, in that football game where he was running for like 7.8, like 7 yards a carry, 10 yards a carry. He was gashing the Commanders. Not gonna lie, he only had 14 carries, which I thought was a little bit odd. Ended up having 20 touches in that football game. They used the pass as a short, as an extension to the running game, and he caught 6 balls for 70 yards, Gibbs, and was targeted 11 times. So it's not like he was completely ignored. Should he have maybe ran 20 plus times? Probably, but it's not like Monty wasn't getting carries. Monty got 7. J-Mo had a long one. So it's not like they completely ignored it, but okay, if you want to complain about that too as well, sure. And let's be honest here. Ben Johnson did it last year in the NFC Championship game. He did it with Gibbs again in the second half of that football game. He got away from the running game. We were up 17 points going into the third quarter, and he kind of got away from the running game. So I love Ben Johnson as a coordinator. He was awesome here. He helped turn this franchise around. He's one of the reasons that we are so good on offense. Will it continue? We'll know. But he's done it in the past. And I'm not saying, Chicago, you're getting a bum. No, I'm not. But maybe he is a guy that kind of panics a little bit. And then we're going to find out with Chicago. We're going to find out, if it's the real deal. He's got some talent there. I don't think the talent is like what we have, but we had to build for it. We had to build it. It just didn't come here overnight. Draft after draft after draft, drafting Amon-Ra, drafting J-Mo, drafting Sewell, acquiring Goff, drafting Laporta. Just bringing in guys like that, guys sticking around like Ragnow and Decker. Just guys just in the building. They have some pieces over there in Chicago. I don't know how it's going to work, but hey, man, that's just what happens, man. That game was just lost. I think for 2 reasons. That Commanders game, though, back to that game, and I just think we lost that football game because I thought our quarterback was a huge part of why we lost that football game. You want to put some of it on the OC? Go nuts. Go nuts. I'm not going to do that because 500 plus yards of offense and 31 points should always be enough to win a football game. But when you have a defense like we have, that is too hurt, that is too banged up, you're never going to win. And like I kind of said in some of my videos prior to all this, man, I was waiting for this defense to implode. It was the one thing I was worried about. And I kind of said it. We had a terrible month of December where we were giving up 32, 33 points on average in all of December. 4 or 5 games. And then we had that really nice game against the Vikings, like I said, gave up 9 points, came out of nowhere, did that. And then I was worried that the Commanders were going to drop some points on us. I thought we were going to win that game. I think I called 38-24 Detroit Lions, but I said don't be surprised if the Commanders put 30 plus on us, 35 plus. I said that. It was one thing I was kind of worried about, and my nightmares came true. It's just because of injuries, and it's not because lack of talent. We had a very talented defense. You can't lose Hutch, you can't lose McNeil, you can't lose Davenport, you can't use Barnes, you can't lose Carlton Davis, you can't lose Malcolm Rodriguez, you can't lose your guys. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just lose starter after starter after starter and then lose their backups and then lose their backups. It's just not going to happen, man. 20-something guys on IR, 14, 15, 16 of them on defense. It's a recipe for disaster. It's had nothing to do with Ben Johnson being distracted. I think that's a bunch of BS too as well. Aaron Glenn being distracted. Aaron Glenn was working with literally, man, working with wax figures, man. He's working with cardboard. He's working with cardboard. He's duct taping all that defense, and people are like so quick to judge these guys. It's unbelievable how, even with Goff, everybody loved Goff 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Now, some of this fan base wants him gone. It's Hendon Hooker time. No, it isn't. It's not Hendon Hooker time because it's not going to happen. We've got to draft a quarterback. You're not getting one at 28, and they're not moving up to get one. It's not going to happen. You guys loved him. Now you hate him. You want him gone? Ridiculous. Ben Johnson, each and every single year, he improved this offense. Now people are like, bye, Felicia. Good riddance. See you later. Be careful what you wish for. Okay? I fully trust Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes to find the next offensive coordinator in here, and probably the next defensive coordinator, because I think Aaron Glenn's going to New York or the Saints. I think they're going to replenish those coaches. They've done it before. Why can't they do it again? It just boggles my mind when this fan base, when something doesn't go their way, and trust me, I was upset too, but I'm not calling for anybody's head, man. Ben Johnson was phenomenal here. I don't want him to leave. I never wanted him to go. I never wanted him to leave, man. You'd be foolish to think that anybody would want him to go. But people are like, he's gone. I'm so happy. You don't even know who your next OC is. Who's it going to be? Tanner Engstrand? Is it Tanner Engstrand? Is it Scotty Montgomery? Is it Hank Fraley if he doesn't leave? Who is it? Is it Mark Brunell? Is he going to get poached? There's rumors that Brunell could get poached from Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. So who knows, man? Who knows? No one's been poached yet, but it's early. It's early. But don't be careful what you wish for, Lions fans. Careful what you wish for. Having guys like being upset, like that upset, you got to look around the room. You have to look around the room and just don't point at one guy and say this is because of Ben Johnson. There's lots of reasons why we lost that football game, but I think the two main reasons were bad quarterback play and the defense that's made out of cardboard. It's that simple. I'm not asking for anybody's head. I can't wait for everybody to come back healthy next year. Dust off, dust Goff off. Make sure he's good. Make sure the defense is good. Hopefully Hutch returns. Lee McNeil, Barnes. I think Barnes is on a contract here. I don't know what's going on with that, but Rodriguez, I think he's on a contract here too as well. They're going to bring him back. They might be available. I'm not even too sure. But bring some of these guys back, get healthy again, man, and dust it off, man. But Ben Johnson is the Chicago Bears' new head coach, and I talked about this for way too long. I really wanted to make this like a 10-minute video, and I made it about like almost a 30-minute video. Apologize for that. But he's a new head coach, guys. He's in the North. He didn't leave. Smart move by him. Big money. Lots of pressure on him now. He's kind of like, I'm not saying they're going to be in a rebuilding stage. Maybe just a tiny bit. They still got to build that old lineup for Caleb Williams. Maybe get a running back. Maybe they have a very good defense, but we'll see what happens there. And let's kind of keep an eye on that relationship with Ben Johnson and Poles over there in Chicago, because they want to mimic Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Can they do it? So, hey, man, he's gone. Not wishing him luck, because he is in the North. He's in the NFC North. It is what it is. I hope he falls flat on his face. No offense to anybody who likes Ben Johnson. I like Ben Johnson, but he is a Chicago Bear now, and he can go F himself. For real, honestly. And I say that in the nicest way possible. I say that in the nicest way possible. I really do. You're a Bear, so get out of here. That's it, man. You're gone. What are you going to do? So thanks, guys. This is a long video. Way too long, by the way. I appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the other videos of mine. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget the bell up top. Ding, ding, ding. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. What do you guys think? Ben Johnson, he's gone. We kind of knew it was going to happen. We've been preparing it for 2 years. Preparing it for 2 years. You don't think Dan Campbell is either? Let's go, guys. Detroit Lions, grit. Detroit versus everybody. Let's go. Boom.